Hi, I'm Robert Schlide, Chief of Police for Shelby Township, and welcome to Straight Talk. We have a couple of interesting segments for you today. First of all, on my right is Sergeant Greg Newbacher, and then we have ComTech Dave Marshall. Boys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Chief.
Greg,
Thank you, Chief.
Dave is from our dispatch center. He's one of our ComTechs, and then Greg is the supervisor over the dispatchers. So we want to do an information segment. We talk about our dispatch center. We have a lot of good information to get out, and the experts are here on. So Dave, we're going to start with you about how many calls for service does our Shelby Township Dispatch Center get on a yearly basis?
Right now we're averaging right in the area of like 40,000 calls for police side. Fire side, we're right about 6,800 calls for the year.
Shelby 911 emergency, where's your emergency?
Okay, so in my math in my head, about 100 calls a day. Is that what it roughly boils down to? Maybe 110 a day?
Between 70, 110 a day.
Okay.
And then, Chief, that's just calls that they're sending us out to runs on.
Yes.
That doesn't include the calls that they're filtering that don't need police service.
Correct.
They're
So
getting many more calls than that.
Yeah, I read some before, all the crazy things that people call 911 for. Dave, give us an example of some of the stuff that are totally inappropriate that people call 911 for.
One of the bigger ones we get, if there's any type of power outage in the township, people will call 911 to see when their power is going to be coming back on. They call us for directions, other phone numbers, thinking we're 411 for information like that.
That's interesting about the directions. So you're taking a call and you got, let's say you have an older woman on the phone asking for directions. How do you handle that tactfully and professionally?
If we're not busy, I'll try to assist her on the line instead of have her call back on the non-emergency line. But if it's really busy, we'll tell them, they need to do other means, the 411, or we'll give them the station's non-emergency number and try to assist them that way.
Okay. Since this is an information segment, what I'd like to toss out to anyone watching needs directions, or there's a application you can put on your phone. Almost all the phones have them. It's called Google Maps. It's free. You can literally talk into it, push a button, and say, navigate me to such and such a location, and it'll direct you right there. So instead of calling the police department, we'd prefer if you used a mapping application. Is that fair, David?
Sure.
Okay. When people are eyewitnesses on crimes, what are they supposed to be looking for when they see something go down? What information do you want to extract from them? What's the best way for them to get information? Should they be writing it down? Should they be taking pictures? They're just trying to memorize everything before they call 911. Like, what do you expect out of a witness when they call you on the phone?
Biggest thing is when our callers call in is we like the information as it's happening and stuff. Some people will call us and say, hey, during the night, heard something, my dog was barking, and it's 5-6 hours later they might be calling. Call us at the time that it's happening. And then with the day and age now of cell phones, most everybody has a camera on there. If they can snap a picture without putting themselves in harm's way, go ahead and do that. Try to keep calm on the radio, or on the phone. We'll ask you for the information to give us, and don't, try to talk in as a calm voice as you can to us and stuff as we're writing this down to get out to the officers as it's happening. It may seem that we're asking a lot of questions and not doing it, but there's 3 of us in the dispatch center. One person could be taking the information, putting it in the computer, where another one of my partners is actually putting the call out to the officers where they're getting it right on the street.
One of the crimes that happen a lot, and it's not specific to Shelby Township, it happens everywhere, especially in the United States, is the road rage. Okay, Sergeant Newbacher, at what point should someone call the police? You want to differentiate with these complaints we get on the road. We get a lot of complaints. A woman, if she starts to be followed, per se. Go ahead, pick it up from here.
Well, if anyone, whether it's a male or female, child or whatever, if they call and they're in the middle of a road rage, we're going to try to direct them to our police station or to the nearest police station where they're at. The best thing to do is to pull off. And if someone pulls off with you, then you can always go inside a business or store or something for safety.
How would you define a road rage? What about throwing something? Somebody throws something at you.
Something.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that allege that a gun was pointed at them. Maybe they want quicker police response by saying that. We need accurate information, because if we get information, if our contacts get information that a gun's pointed, well, that's going to increase the level of how we get there.
Okay, thank you. The other day I was riding with my kids in the car, and they're asking a bunch of questions about what should we do if you ever need help, Dad. They're 8, 9 years old. And I told them, I said, for the most part, I'm not going to need your help. But there is a police radio in the car. Well, what are we saying to it? And I told them, he said, well, how do we know where we are? And I started explaining to them, when you're in a road, pointing things out. Dave, we have a lot of problems with people not knowing directions, north, south, east, west. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and what people, how they can help better understand what to say to you on the phone?
A lot of people don't know their north, souths and so forth. A lot of the newer cars have built-in compasses in their car. They can use that as a point of reference, or just to look out and give us actual visual places of where they're at, businesses or anything, around them and so forth, just to try to give us a direction. Or instead of, were you going towards like Pontiac, were you going towards Mount Clemens, give them more of a reference to see where they were traveling to and from, or from and to figure out which way they were going as well too.
Because a lot of times you're spending valuable minutes trying to figure out where they are when they can be getting a police officer there immediately, right? That's
Sure.
what part of the problem is.
Yes.
We get a landmark right away, like, something happened in front of the Walmart. Well, we know we have the Walmart at 23 and M53. We're already heading that way before we get any other information.
Okay. All right. Now, our dispatch center in Shelby Township, we handle the Shelby Township Police and Fire. We have 36 square miles. Right now, we're servicing 78,000 residents. We're a local center. There's a regional center. Back a few years ago, Shelby Township opted not to become part of the regional center. I like both of your input on why, and I know, Greg, you live here in Shelby Township. What are the benefits of having a local dispatch center?
Well, the benefits, number one, is your people, your dispatchers know your officers. Every single day the same dispatchers are dealing with the same officers. They know their habits. They know how they communicate on the radio. Not everyone communicates the same way on the radio. Not everyone does the same things on the road. It's just we know them more we know each other more on a personal level, and I think that helps outside the walls of dispatch.
Very nice. David?
As Sergeant Newbacher said, we work the same shifts as the patrol officers, same times and same periods, so we know kind of their habits and they know kind of ours. And being that we're more local, we may know the streets and the area more familiar, in day-to-day operations, because we're always there. We know what new businesses are coming in, what's left. We're just more familiar with the area and so forth.
Small little example is I said earlier about a woman calling and it's lost. I'm not sure, I don't want to point fingers at any other center, but a local center is going to give, like you said, if we're not busy, you're going to sit and figure out and try to give her directions where she's going. And I think that's one of the benefits. And then also knowing the problem areas in the township. Everyone's been around for a while. We know the problem houses. We know the problem subjects, people we have to deal with, and the dispatchers all know that also. Mm-hmm. And that information is invaluable as far as I'm concerned.
Very much so. And then even with the problem houses and stuff, we have the capabilities of flagging that address or a business, whatever, that we can let the officers know and give them a heads up what they might be walking into, some type of danger, or if it's a frequent visiting house that we may go to, that they'll have all that information while they're responding to the call.
I know that in my 3-year tenure here, some of our dispatchers have done some amazing things. I know that we've saved a baby through CPR. One of the babies is actually choking, and our dispatcher, Michelle Pecora, gave detailed instruction. Not only that, but the woman had gave the wrong location when she called in, and Michelle caught that through her being attention to duty and was able to route the fire department and the police department to the specific location. I know that Brett was involved in a life-saving event also. One of the things that that always stick with me is we had a woman call up, and it's a convoluted story. I don't know all the details, but there had to be a death notification, and we had to send a police officer to this woman's house to let her know that somebody had passed away. And then later, the dispatcher who had taken the call and set up everything went over to the woman's house and ended up spending 3 or 4 hours with her on her own time. Greg, I mean, talk about that a little bit. What does that mean for you as a resident of Shelby Township and a Shelby Township police supervisor?
Well, it's great because, a lot of times, I do watch a show. I watch a show a lot because, like you said, I'm a township resident. And a lot of times you use that superstar, for the officers. I'm going to tell you right now, Chief, your 12 dispatchers are superstars.
Yes.
They do a great job, and I know you know that, but they really do. Vicky Vicari was the one you're talking about. She took that phone call, and she went on her own time, went to the lady's house, and pretty much consoled the family for a couple of hours on her own time. They all have big hearts. They're all husbands and wives and mothers and fathers. They get it. They're just not call takers. They're not robotic call takers. They have a heart. They love what they do.
Yeah, they're human beings.
They're superstars.
I agree. Thank you for reminding me about the word I use. You guys want to touch anything else before we wrap this segment up?
Well, yeah, just our dispatch center alone. A lot of people think that being a dispatcher, like I said, is robotic. You sit in front of a phone and sit in front of a computer. Each, like Dave said, there's 3 contacts in the room at each time. Well, each station has 7 computer monitors. You also have your 911 phones, your business lines. You have officers coming in for paperwork. You got officers on the road that are needing stuff over the air. You got records coming in. You got detectives coming in. They're not just sitting around, waiting for that next phone call to come in. They're busy. They're all 12 of them. It's not an easy job sitting in there.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I'd be the first one to tell you I couldn't do it.
Getting back to the dispatch center, just after you got here, you really wanted to do something special for the dispatch room. We were doing things around the station. Well, I think Kelly Donahue said something to Lieutenant Wiley about a nice little quote putting up in the dispatch center, and I know Lieutenant Wiley brought it to your attention, and you brought it to my attention, and I got it done. We had put on the wall, they're the voice behind the thin blue line.
Yes.
I know Deputy Chief Coyle talks a lot about the thin blue line. They are our voice. Without our 12 dispatchers giving us information on the road, we're lost out there. We don't know what we're going into. So everything they give us, has to be accurate, has to be efficient. I mean, they work in there.
Dave basically was saying a lot of respect for you and the job you do, and your colleagues also. On behalf of our executive staff, the administrative staff, and all the sworn officers, we thank you for your tireless job that you do.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. We'll be back in a moment.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
Welcome back to Straight Talk. I'm with Deputy Chief Mark Coyle. He's been a frequent guest on the show. DC Coyle, welcome back.
Thank you. You're welcome to be. It's nice to be here.
Glad to have you. DC Coyle, we're going to talk about a couple different things. First one I want to touch on is we just got done going through our hiring process, several months. What did it entail, and what was the end result?
Well, I know that you're going in December to get final board approval to hire 6 individuals. A lot of people don't understand that it's a lengthy process to get an individual through the door and hired. It starts with an application and then several interviews, both a written and an oral exam, and then ultimately a pre-employment background, and then final selection by yourself, myself, and Lieutenant Schmittler. Excellent group of candidates. We've knocked it out of the park. I'm truly excited. We had some hiccups in the past, with the process, so we changed it. You and I sat down and we discussed how we could make it better.
Have you seen candidates of this high caliber, the number of high caliber candidates come through this process in the last 3 years since you and I have administration together?
No, we were concerned initially that, that the young people weren't going to gravitate to this position, and we saw that for the first couple of years that you and I were in charge. This has kind of changed. We have some veterans that are leaving other municipalities or other agencies and really looking at us as a destination location. They're coming here and saying, hey, I want to make my home here. But we also have a group of really talented young individuals that are saying, I've always known that I wanted to make my home here. And that really started with the work of Sergeant Bellamo and his internship program. Sergeant Bellamo, really reached out and kind of cherry-picked the superstars. And so those interns have now come back and we're hiring them.
Yeah, they're trying to get in the door here. What a lot of people don't know is that a lot of these candidates are in play at many different departments. One guy might be trying to get hired at four departments, and from what I can tell right now, that they're in play at 3 or 4 departments, but they all want to work for us.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with quality of life issues. We pride ourselves on treating people the way we would like to be treated. So what we've done is provide them with great training, great quality of equipment. It's hard not to want to work for one of the 50 safest cities in the United States, of our size. It's just the community supports us. The community loves us. If you look at our Facebook page, you can see it. So when you compare us or stack us up against other communities, these people look at it and go, this is the place I want to be. I'm going to get the proper training, the proper equipment, the proper leadership, and a huge support from my community.
There was a study that I read several years ago that said that a police officer's #1 stressor is not what you expect it to be. It wasn't dealing with the criminals, it wasn't dealing with all the different shift rotations, etc., but it was dealing specifically with their own administration, with their police administration. This is what caused the most stress in their lives, and that impacted me. I was a young officer when I read that, and I thought, how could that even be true? And then you start thinking about it, listen to all the horror stories from different departments. You realize that, and what we've been able to do since you and I started working together, we took over almost 3 years ago, is we've created an environment that's complete opposite of that mentality. I'd be willing to bet that if somebody listed their top 10 grievances in the police department, our administration wouldn't be on most of their scorecards at all.
Well, I think what you have to do is, and when you and I sat down to do this and you approached me to say, hey, do you want to do this and help me change the culture here? And I said, yeah, absolutely. This has been my home for nearly 27 years. What we did was empower our people, and we got out of their way. That was our mission, you and I. He said, hey, let's give our people the authority to do their job. They're all smart, talented individuals, and set them free. You unleash them, and you see the power. It's very easy for us to go out and lead people that are of the caliber we have. We don't have issues. For the most part, our individuals come to work every single day. They adorn their uniform and go out and protect this community with everything they have. So what they really needed was, I think, the belief in themselves. They needed somebody at the top. And I've said this all along. I know you hate when I do this, but you validated us. You came here and you got ourselves to believe in ourselves again, and you brought out the best in all of us. So that's really what happened.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Our building expansion, we've been working on it for several months. You assembled a team, a committee that was formed. I put you at head of the committee, and you handpicked your own people.
Yeah.
We've been meeting with the architect regularly. Let's talk about the building expansion a little bit. Let's talk about what we're doing at the police department and the necessity for it. There's been some questions raised. It got brought to my attention by one of the board members that people are sniping online that this is not needed. I need people to understand. We need people to understand. This is not. We're not decorating here. Okay.
No, I think what happened is that I spent the vast majority of my career at the Township Hall. And it was ill-equipped and ill-prepared to deal with the ever-changing needs of our community. Well, if you haven't looked around, our community is growing again. We have some major retail, major home building again. So as we strategically plan and look long-term, we're going to need to meet the needs of our community. So the expansion is really to provide us more space for additional resources, but really to provide a professional, top-notch police department. We were short on space, administrative space. We were lacking in conference space, our armory, and then we also really improved our holding facility or our jail facility to accommodate the ever-changing needs. So
In the jail facility right now, in yours and I belief, and several of our staff members, is a potential liability for the township, correct?
yeah, it was when you first tasked me with setting up the committee. We put a questionnaire out to the staff and said, hey, listen, tell us what your concerns are of the building, what works, what doesn't work. You know, let's really identify where our key problems is. And resoundingly, one of the problems that came back from the staff is that our jail facility was maybe ill-conceived. It had some problems.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, well, what are we going to do? Criminals are people that we take in. They're still our responsibility. They're in our care, custody, and control. So let's protect them and protect our staff at the same time. So we're reconfiguring it so that it flows better and it's a safer environment for both the criminals and our employees.
Okay, and we're going up about 7,000 square feet.
Yes, sir.
One of the things I want to point out to our residents, our police station right now is 17,000 square feet. We're adding about 7,000 additional square feet to get us up to about 24,000 square feet. Our staff, once we add the new bodies next week with board approval, will be around 95 people total, sworn and civilians. Our neighbor, the Clinton Township Police Department, has a staff of 100, so basically 5 more people than we do, and their building is 68,000 square feet, and it was built in this century, so it's not even 15 years old, and it's exactly 4 times our size. So while we don't need a building that big, there's possibly could have been a little bit overbuilt. We do need more space, and that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, it really is just to accommodate the needs of the department, and those needs are just to service the community.
Yes. One of the big changes on the horizon right now, one of the platforms we've been using to our crime mapping system is called CrimeDar. So we're swapping that out.
Yeah, I've been taking some phone calls. I know those of you, the viewers, or other people, that community residents that have said, "Where did CrimeDar go? I can't get the statistics anymore." We're in the process and dealing with vendors as we move from one system to the next. It's a computer software-based system. We will be moving in January is my goal to have a new. It's through Clemis. It does all of our report writing system for us. So it'll be Clemis crime mapping. It's kind of the industry standard. Most of our peer agencies use this product in Southeast Michigan. It'll provide the viewers, residents, the same information that CrimeDar did. We're just changing and moving into a more efficient, more effective manner to provide this information to them.
How do our residents get this information? How can they do the
it'll work the exact same way. It'll be on our website once it's up and running, and I know that some of the people have called administration and said, hey, where did it go? That's why I really wanted to get it out. That says, be patient, we're in the process. You'll have that product soon in the first quarter of 2018.
So they fully understand when they want information about crime in their neighborhood or in Shelby Township, they can go on our website, look at the application, click on it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chief. It'll work the same way that CrimeDar did. You'll look at it. You'll be able to pull up what's going on in your neighborhood. It'll give you the information. Like I said, it's a tool. It's just we're in this process of we're shutting one down and putting a new one in place.
Thank you. Last topic I'd like to touch on is holiday safety. What information would you like to get out to our residents about holiday safety?
Well, first, we've been experiencing great weather. One of the things is as the weather changed, I think that starting off, you're going Christmas shopping, you're going places, afford yourself the appropriate amount of time. Right now we haven't had roadway conditions, but as you know as well as I do, traffic is a huge issue, especially on Hall Road, Shaner. So start your day off with appropriate time. If you're running late, I always tell everybody it's better just to be late than it is to rush and try to make it on time. If you get to your malls, get to your shopping centers, park in well-lit areas, know your surroundings, walk with a purpose. When you get in your stores, don't leave your belongings unattended. Don't walk away from your cart. Don't leave your purses open or your bags open. If you check out or when you do check out, if you're using your PIN to enter, make sure people aren't looking at it. Take a look at the actual machine. Make sure there isn't a scamming or a skimmer device attached to it. get to know the place where you're buying your property or buying your gifts, and know what you're purchasing. On your way out from the store, have your keys ready. Again, walk with a purpose to your car. Know your surroundings. We have a lot of slip and falls. I'll speak for the fire department this time of year. Look to make sure there's no black ice. You're on solid footing when you're walking as well.
You touched something about the credit cards and skimming. Something we've mentioned on some of the previous shows before is for people to monitor their credit cards closely. Most credit cards you can sign in online. You want to talk about that real quickly and remind them to be checking their stuff? They
Yeah, I
should be
think
checking
that
it daily.
in this day and age, you're going to have to do that. I mean, unfortunately, my credit card was compromised the last time. You know, and you do any of your credit checks, and you know, you put a credit lock on it. I had to, simply because, you know, the fear of somebody being able to access my account and get my information, or get my you know, open credit in my name. But yeah, you should be doing your due diligence. Most major credit cards have credit card fraud, but whether it's Experian or the other ones, Equifax, you have to do some proactive measures, or take some proactive measures to protect yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the last things I want to bring up to our residents, each month when we do our show, we discuss ideas. Our intent is to give information to our residents about our police department. One of the things we want to do in 2018 is we want you to give us ideas about shows you would like to see. So if you have any ideas of something you would like to see in 2018 for our Straight Talk show, information of any part of our police department, please send me an email. My email address is on our website. There's a link, Shelby Township Police Department website. It'll say Chief of Police. You open it up, and then my email address is right there. You can actually click on it, send me an email, let me know what you'd like to see so we can discuss it. Have a very safe and happy holiday season. You've been watching Straight Talk. Thank you.